Okay, we've been talking basically since even before Donald Trump was elected about the coalescing and catalyzing of white supremacy and extremism in the United States. And my general view, my instinct at the beginning was that Donald Trump is not creating white supremacy. He's not creating anti-Semitism. He's not creating bigotry, probably. But he is, number one, sort of coalescing it, and number two, making the bigots and the white supremacists and the anti-Semites more comfortable being out in the open, being more public about their extreme views, and is getting them actually organizing to a greater degree. Now, that was my idea early on, and it does seem to be borne out, including by the former and even current white nationalists and white supremacists that we've spoken to. I was recently reviewing, in preparation for this story, my interview a couple of years ago with white nationalist Richard Spencer. He's someone in the movement. And again, he believes, Trump's not literally one of us, and it's not clear that he's creating more of us, but he is kind of fomenting this environment in which we are more likely to thrive or to do well or whatever the case may be, or organize. We now have a report from the Anti-Defamation League, and the report is called Hate Beyond Borders, the Internationalization of White Supremacy. And the report shows two things. Number one, it shows that white supremacy is under Trump, but really over the last 2 years, Trump is just a piece of what's going on, being internationalized, meaning that there are more links and sort of flow of white supremacist organization across country lines, including from the United States to Europe, and we'll dig into that in more detail in a second. The other thing that the ADL report shows is that there is also more weaponization of white supremacy. And my interpretation of weaponization is that what they're talking about is turning the ideas into activism. It doesn't necessarily have to mean physical violence, but it's the taking of the ideas and weaponizing them by making them real activism. This is a really well done study, and it combines sort of the political circumstances that are fueling this, as well as the technological circumstances, because that's a big thing as well. We recently interviewed former white supremacist Frank Mink, and he said there is now an ability to be radicalized and to have these extreme communities exist completely digitally, completely over the internet because of the technology that exists. So I'll tell you about some of the factors at play. Number one, the white supremacist conference scene has grown dramatically over the last couple of years. It includes American and European extremists everywhere from Sweden, Russia, and Estonia having in-person events, and they are internationalized. You have people flying all over to go to these white supremacist events. That is one element that is weaponizing and internationalizing white supremacy. You have the far-right nationalist parties in Europe. Some of those parties have ties to neo-Nazis directly, plain and simple. Others, it's a little bit more nuanced and sort of guised, but they are serving as a sort of central point of contact for many white supremacists that were previously isolated, in a sense. The immigration debate in both Europe and the United States has been another, I guess you would call it like a uniting issue for white supremacists who are looking to become more active, and immigration has been an issue that has coalesced and catalyzed a lot of that activism into something particular, a policy demand, so to speak, that these folks can rally around. Technology. We have to understand that the internet, messaging, Facebook, Twitter, Gab, WhatsApp, that is enabling technology that allows these groups and ideologies to cross country lines far more easily. So, for example, you've got the US-based group Women for Aryan Unity. Yeah. They now have chapters in Europe. So the immediate question is, what is it that needs to happen? The first thing is an electoral prescription, which is the nationalist leaders that are, if not directly supporting this, kind of indifferently allowing the environment in which this stuff grows and it becomes weaponized, those leaders need to be removed or stripped of power or marginalized depending on what the government system is. In the United States, this includes you've got to remove Donald Trump, period. In other countries, you're talking about representation in a parliamentary system, in a representative system. Really have to look at the particulars, but the leaders that are fomenting this implicitly or explicitly have to be removed, and hopefully we will start seeing the pendulum swing back in that direction in 2020. Once you cross country lines, at least here in the United States, it's possible to designate these groups foreign terrorist organizations. Internationally, that may not mean much, but here in the United States, it gives the State Department and law enforcement more resources and latitude to fight against these groups. So that's something that should be looked at as per this Anti-Defamation League report. The technology companies, because remember, technology is a big piece of what is allowing this to fester, foment, and grow. The technology companies, they basically already have terms of service that apply to what it is that we are seeing. It's more about enforcing those terms of service. And this is a much bigger issue. When I was on the Joe Rogan program 3 months ago, we talked a lot, 4 months ago actually, we talked a lot about the policies themselves versus their enforcement and sort of interrelated issues. And we could do an entire conversation just about that, and we have, but the enforcement of these policies and ways to limit these groups' ability to recruit and to spread their messages, that's also important. And what we really have to understand is that there are real world effects here, right? We are seeing terrorist incidents. We are seeing shootings. We are seeing Orthodox Jews being attacked out in public in Brooklyn and other places. We're seeing Jewish emigration out of certain European countries like France. I believe, going from memory, France has actually seen an outflow of Jewish residents thanks to the environment that is out there. So this is not merely, it's easy to say, oh, this is stuff that exists on the internet, period. No, there are groups that are tracking the real world impact, and it's significant. And we're seeing this stuff pervade the judiciary. We're seeing this stuff pervade law enforcement here in the United States. And this is a really, really good study that looks at exactly how it is being both weaponized and internationalized by a combination of these nationalist trends that we've been seeing combined with the technological factors that allow it to happen. We're going to be following up about this on our Instagram page at David Pakman Show on Instagram. Make sure you're following the show there. And while you're there, follow me as well. I posted a picture. I am on the road, as many of you who have been watching the show this week noticed. I posted a selfie with Nemo, the Adderall dog, as some of you know him. Please don't take offense to that. It's just a joke. And I posted a selfie with him on my personal Instagram this morning at david.pakman. Check it out. Follow me. Follow the show. We'll take a quick break and be back after this.